So Tim knows this about me because we grew up together. I've been accused of being a procrastinator before.
A little
So
bit.
so here we are with our roaring reactions. Wait, don't we do Running Through the Jungle at 8:05 on Wednesday?
Yeah, normally.
Yeah, we'll push that back a half hour or so to get our takes on the game that was last Thursday. Thursday night football game just kind of threw my whole week off. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it just has seemed to just snowball into this show. I don't know. I would have rather just had like a normal Sunday night or Monday and Monday show and right off into the sunset, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, shit
I rode
happens.
I rode off into the day after the show. I rode off into Michigan.
Oh, that's right,
So
you did.
yeah. So I was gone. Yeah.
I mean, I believe Tim and I did our weekly pick'em show on Friday, and
Mhm.
we discussed a little bit about the Bengals Steelers game. But for the most part, man, it was I was still tripping off of a high that we got the dub, and I already took that day off, and I was going to enjoy the rest of my long weekend, and quite frankly, I had no regrets. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I damn near forgot all about the reaction show itself on the channel just because we kind of discussed it a tad bit on our
Yeah.
pick'em show, but this is what this episode is going to be for.
No regrets, he says.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I got
We
that tattooed
appreciate
on my neck somewhere too. No regrets.
we appreciate you guys rocking with us. Whether we're on time, early, or late. As always, if you have not, please like, subscribe. Remember, you can get us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can catch us on YouTube if you want to see our ugly mugs. Yes, the Bengals got a much needed victory, 33-31 over the Steelers last Thursday night. Good, bad, and ugly. You can throw a little bit of all of it in there. Give me the kind of the overview of what your thoughts were, your reactions were to this. Justin, I'll throw it to you first. What was your reactions to the Thursday night football game?
That the Bengals have hope, and that when you have a guy like Joe Flacco stabilizing the ship at quarterback, you can really see the team really rally around him, and that was what the Bengals needed. They weren't getting that kind of play from Jake Browning. It was just god awful and bearable to watch to the point where the fans just punted on the season and was looking into the offseason. We was about ready to get mock drafts ready until the Bengals made that trade. The launch point for me was never about the Green Bay game a week before. It was always about this particular game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the second half of the Green Bay game really gave me weird confidence based off of Joe Flacco just getting there on a Tuesday. He hadn't really had his first practice yet with the total team and introducing themselves really on that Wednesday's practice the very next day. Jamara misses walkthrough. I couldn't really put the Green Bay game as a staple of, oh, he's got to win that game. Even though in the second half, it made you feel like that the Bengals could have stole a win on the road in Lambeau Field there. But it was just a game where I just needed to see Flacco get comfortable, and he did. The Steelers game was the game where I was going to measure itself like, okay, are we going to be ready to compete? This is a must-win game. Can we do it? And he absolutely delivered. So that's the number one good that I take away from it. The bad, this defense is still obviously just god awful. And I still don't trust this defense with the lick of soul. Cam Taylor-Britt getting benched and being inactive on a game, that was absolutely the right move, in my opinion. There is only one good thing that came from it was DJ Turner just playing like an absolute stud. And I think that the Bengals finally got a CB1 that it can truly work with, not only just throughout the rest of the year, but going into next year, they can build into for the future. And the ugly is, well, it got ugly in the end. It very much was nerve wracking. And Aaron Rodgers almost pulled off the improbable. He did throw the game, what looked like it could have been a game winning touchdown for them. And then even when the Bengals got off the field and got the game winning field goal in the end, you still didn't feel good about 7 seconds left, and Aaron Rodgers had a chance at a Hail Mary because, damn, man, he launched that ball 70 yards and it made it to
That
the
was the
end zone.
longest throw in the air in what, like 7 years, 6 or 7
Oh,
years?
man, I don't doubt it. And I just was surprised that he even made it there at that age. He's 41 years old, and I'm like, Aaron Rodgers still got it. So a lot of good, a lot of bad, but it was a very entertaining game nonetheless. It's one of those games where if you weren't a fan of either one of those two teams, you were just absolutely thrilled about about the game overall, man. And
Yeah.
you do root for the home team in that sense, just because they needed that win. So,
Let,
good win though, man. Way to
let
get
me
back
ask
into it.
let me ask you this as a follow-up. You pointed out the great game by DJ Turner, and I agree with you. I think he had a great game. What do you think this does for his confidence? Because if there's been one knock on him, right, it's not speed, it's not the ability to turn and move his hips and things like that. It's been that he's a little bit slighter build. Do you think this is a big confidence boost going against a DK Metcalf and proving that you can man up and play physical enough for him? Do you think this may be a leap or a jump for him because of this?
Oh, I absolutely do. But actually, I think that his confidence was building even a week before. If you guys remember against the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love tried to test DJ Turner all throughout the game. And every time he threw DJ Turner's way, knocked it away. And it was DJ Turner that got the tip pass that led to a Geno Stone interception. Geno Stone didn't do anything. He was just in the right place at the right time. That was DJ Turner's tip pass. We talk about Jordan Battle getting the interception going down the sideline that he kind of like too high safety it over the top. But that was DJ Turner. He was in position to pick that ball off too. There's a lot of confidence that's swelling with this kid, man. And he's been doing pretty good since week one. We thought that those tip pass ricochets picks that he got against Joe Flacco against Cleveland, that it was like, that was kind of a mirage, and tips and overthrows are not always going to happen. But no, man, this dude is really locking people up, man. And I'm really impressed to seeing it. Now, he is going to get beat here and there. We talk about the first drive of the Pittsburgh Steelers game where they were facing a 3rd and 11, and then Aaron Rodgers just dropped a beauty down the bucket over DJ Turner's head to DK Metcalf. So with that being said, like, there's still obviously going to be room to grow. But I really like what I've seen from this guy. And honestly, I feel like that I was watching Denzel Ward out there. You just don't want to keep testing this guy. Right now, people I don't think is convinced that he's actually arriving, because this Bengals defense, these corners, the second, no matter who you point at, they haven't been great. But DJ Turner is really starting to come into his own, to where he's developing into a great player, while the rest of the secondary is kind of like waning off a bit. I like Dax Hill too, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, that would be a great thing if those two players were elevating themselves on a consistent basis like that. Tim, your overall view, as far as this game with the Steelers, and I want you to, can you give me kind of an outlook, like how much of this was the Bengals winning versus the Steelers losing the game? Do you think like it was 80-20, we took it more than they lost it, or vice versa? Like what do you think about that too, as you tell me your overall view of the game?
Yeah, so we came out there, our defense, of course, has been an issue, still is an issue. It's going to be an issue. I have my personal opinions about that, but I'll get to that in a minute. It was nice to see the offensive line, blocking for Joe Flacco and blocking and making those holes when it came to the run game. They were making holes for Chase Brown like it was just ridiculous. I think he averaged 9.4 yards a carry, 9.7 yards a carry, wherever the hell it was. Just like the best he's done all year long from what we've seen so far. And you guys all know me. I love to run the damn ball. There it is, Brandon. I said it. My thing is the offensive line really stepped up against the Steelers defense. And even I'm going to give Zach Taylor his kudos here, his flowers. He called a great offense. He really did. He called a great offense. Joe Flacco executed, he was throwing, quick passes every time that he would drop back. He only got sacked twice. He threw the ball 5,692 times against the Steelers. The Steelers had no answer for it. I think Joe Flacco and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the offensive line, Zach Taylor, they did a great job of game planning with the little time that Joe's been with the team. I'm not going to say the Steelers lost that game. No, I just think our offense actually proved, hey, you know what? If we can put 30 points up on the board, we can win this game, even with this defense not playing complimentary football. It was a game that the Steelers had. They were definitely they were on the path to win. They come out there, score 10 points. It was 10-0. I'm sorry if you guys hear my bulldog. She's not the quietest drinker on earth. If you guys can hear her drinking, but
I
the
assume
Steelers.
that was you.
Yeah, no, it's the dog. But the Steelers, they should have won. They began that game kicking our ass and not letting us move the ball down the field. But then Joe and the boys just, everything started clicking. And one thing that we discussed on Running Through the Jungle on Wednesday before the Thursday night football game show was, what was my offensive key to the game? And what did I say, Brandon? Jamar Chase. I said Jamar Chase. That's what I said. That's all I said. Jamar Chase. And Jamar went out there and played his ass off. He went out there and proved that it don't matter if you have the highest paid defense in the freaking league, that he can still get 16 receptions and a tutty. Jamar Chase is the truth. Joe Flacco did great. Like I said, the offensive line did fabulous. But then the defense, complimentary football has been our Achilles heel this entire year. I know we can blame Al Golden, we can blame the players, we can blame the execution, we can blame the play calling, but it's been piss poor all the way across the board. But fortunately for us, old Joe Flacco, and I'm going to call him old Joe Flacco because he is old, he stepped up. Jamar Chase and them stepped up. The offense did what they needed to do to get us this win, to give us that little shimmering of hope, that shimmer of hope out there. Like I said on one of our other shows, all I wanted to see from Joe Flacco in this offense was just a shimmer. And I could feel a little bit more positive. Now, after this game, about us beating the number one ranked defense, or the highest paid defense in the league, and seeing what Joe Flacco and the boys can do, there's a little bit more confidence for me. I'm going to see you'll probably see me in later shows starting to pick the Bengals to win. I know, I've been pretty hard on them. I know I've been bashing them pretty well. I've been sticking up for Al Golden, the defense, but you're going to see me change my tune a little bit. But it was a great game.
A couple things there that stood out to me. One, Bengals go down 10. And I thought, like, right off the bat, this is going to be real easy for them to go through the motions, throw in the towel. I also, kudos to the crowd that was there for the whiteout, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been really easy for the Boo Birds to come out down 10-0. And they didn't. They kept supporting the team, cheering on the team. And what do you know? They drive down the field and score. So, both of those things, the resiliency, I like seeing that. That's a testament to the character of the team, if nothing else. As far as the offense, 200 and a little less than 250 yards they gave up through the air. They gave up almost 400 total yards. Not good. I can live with 220, 240 through the air. It was a couple big chunk plays there. You'd like to make a play on one of them, and we're good, right? But 147 yards on 7.3 yards a carry. And I thought what the Steelers did, from me looking at it, they ran inside only a couple times. And then as soon as they saw what we were doing, like as far as not, I don't want to say stout. It wasn't like we stuffed the run in the center, but it was a 2-3 yard pickup. So what they do, zone read, stretch run plays, get towards that tackle, pull somebody, and it was over. it was absolutely over. That play, as soon as they got outside of a guard on the other side of that, that 3 gap or that 5 gap, it was it. That was it. So to me, that was the worst sign of the defense. I agree with Justin. I thought there were some things that we did in the defensive backfield, especially that looked good for me, looked good to me. There were some positives I took away from it. But yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase, pretty good too. But I think the biggest point in the game is Rodgers has 2 interceptions. We have 2 takeaways. That's the biggest difference to me. That said, this is going to be a short show, and then we'll get over to Run Through the Jungle. So with that said, I'm going to take a quick break here so we can hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back right after these messages. All right, welcome back to the Roy Reactions. Give you that overview. Man, before we give out the game balls, though, I will say this: Coach's Cliff Notes. It's been a rough year and a half of listening to Zach Taylor. Did either of you have anything that you heard from that man that was worth repeating whatsoever?
I'll go ahead and give my thoughts on Zach Taylor's comments. Way to stay positive, Zach. I'll just say this. I get so annoyed when he gives those locker room speeches on a mediocre game, and it's like, all right, dude, we didn't play nowhere near to our expectation level. But facing the heavy doses of criticism of Zach Taylor should be fired, he should be on a hot seat, this is it for him. He's withstood it all, and then there was nothing really in his post-game press conference that really stood out other than he got to start doing better to make sure that he get the play calls to Joe Flacco correctly, get the verbiage down. That's the only inflection point that I will say in that press conference that I say that warrants having any sort of, real sort of work there that I'll take away from that. But I also think that just credits to Joe Flacco. It just illustrates how hard of a task that he had getting traded already on a short week going to play the Green Bay Packers and being announced that he was going to start. Already had to cram in and study the playbook and then understand that the terminology is vastly different, even though he's been in the league for a long time. But even after the game, I really took onus of Joe Flacco's post-game press conference, just because when he speaks, he truly talks with a very analytically sound mind. And you can tell that this guy has been in the game for so long to the points where it's like it just naturally comes to him. I'm used to sitting up there hearing Joe Burrow speak, and Joe Burrow will he will pause before he gives answers. Like he's still kind of understanding of what he's trying to information he's trying to give out there as he's speaking. Joe Flacco, he is relaxed. He was the original Joe Cool before Joe Burrow became Joe Cool. And now they're kind of giving him the Joe Calm nickname, which I don't really care, whatever you want to go with it. But he was talking about how the terminology that Zach Taylor, he just couldn't understand it. So he just went with his own thing. So that was impressive to me. And he just knew to get the ball to number one. And that's really my only takeaways that I have from the press conferences. I really kind of steered. We've seen enough and heard enough of Zach, but I will say way to be positive. But really, man, this was all about Joe Flacco for me, man.
Flacco, and I think I'm going to speak for middle-aged men everywhere. Flacco sounded like he was 40. Like he was composed. He was calm. The reason why he didn't think like Joe Burrow does before he talks is because he didn't give a shit what you thought about his answer. He truly doesn't. He's comfortable in his own skin. He doesn't give a shit if you come back at him. I don't care. How about that? Yeah. And that's what I felt that from. My favorite part of the whole thing too was when they asked him about the pulling the ball out and running the ball around the end for a first down for, what was it, 12, 13 yards. And he was like, was that plan play? Did you have a feeling? Did you see something there? And he goes, no, we were in a wrong alignment. There was supposed to be a wide receiver over that end, and it wasn't there. So when I went to hand the ball off, I saw that guy crashing down with no one to block him, and I thought he's going to murder the running back and take the ball. And I just took it and I ran out, like not knowing if I was just going to run out and slide. But I ran out and saw the big lane and just said, all right, let's go get a first down. That was hilarious to me.
That was amazing.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, let's get into some game balls. Offensive game balls. Tim, I'm going to let you go first because I know you're going to be hyped up about this one. Go ahead, give out your offensive game ball, man.
I'm going to surprise you all.
What?
I'm not giving my game ball to who you guys think I'm giving it to.
Huh?
Brandon's like, oh, you're going to give it to Jamar Chase or Chase Brown, whatever.
What?
No, you know what? My offensive game ball goes to the offensive line. I know it's a game ball, but it goes to the offensive line. That offensive line played great football. Like I said, they protected Joe. They made holes for Chase Brown. They played great football. I think this is the best the offensive line has looked all year long. I know Joe got sacked twice, but what do you expect?
If I put you on the spot, which offensive lineman did you think played best?
I'm gonna say Rivers. I like how Rivers played. Rivers, for him being a rookie, I thought he played great. For the times that he came in. Zach's been playing with these guards and everything. They bring Rivers. Rivers was originally a tackle, but he's been playing guard for us as well. For him to be a main. Him in college was a tackle, being moved over to guard. I think he's playing great football. But like I said, though, the offensive line deserves my game ball.
I also have a theory that that's what average offensive line play looks like, and we haven't had it in so long. It looked amazing to us.
Right. You might be 100% right, and I might be over here with two eyes.
But
closed,
it looked a lot better. Listen, it looked a lot better than it has all year. I agree with you, Tim.
I'm giving them the credit where credit is due.
All right, Justin, who are you giving your offensive game ball to?
It has to be Joe Flacco for me. And it's so easy to point the ball at Jamar Chase because he was just wrecking havoc on, their DBs. Like Jalen Ramsey wanted the smoke all offseason with Jamar Chase. And man, he learned that, dude, you are past your prime. You got cooked. Same thing with Darius Slay. And they also couldn't check T. Higgins neither. So with that being said, bro, I could easily go to with one of our two receivers, but I'm going to go with Joe Flacco just because, number one, he thrives in the environment when he plays against the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially at home. People forgot about his days in Baltimore. He kind of had Pittsburgh's number, which is why I also ultimately picked the Bengals to win this game before the game even tipped off, because after I saw what I needed to see against the Green Bay Packers in the second half against a better defense, in my opinion, Joe Flacco was he was unflappable in my opinion. And I just knew that he would be able to have the answers to anything that Pittsburgh was going to throw at him, even when it was a short week, understandably the game plan. He elevated the running game because for the most part, if this was going to be a normal Joe Burrow-led offense where he's dropping back the pass, now I know he dropped back 42 times, but think about how much of those was quick screen passes, dump outs whether if it was to the running back, to Chase Brown, or to Jamar, just to get those are like stretch run plays to me, in my opinion. I don't really count those as real true pass attacks. But he elevated the running game because they also stuck with running the ball. When Pittsburgh in the second half was coming and stacking the box down, they didn't go away from it. They was like, all right, get a hat on the hat. Let's pull a guard and go this way. Joe he actually elevated everything around him and elevated the style of the offense to where everything looked better. The running game looked better. Offensive linemen, I still don't trust them moving down moving forward, because I still feel like that if Joe Flacco had to sit in that pocket like 8 seconds like Aaron Rodgers did, Joe Flacco will get sacks. But Joe Flacco was understanding about where the hot routes were coming. He understood where the blitzes were going to come. He understood where they were going to try to send pressure, and then TJ Watt stunting up the middle. You think about TJ Watt's one pressure that he got on Joe Flacco before that little garbage time half sack that didn't even matter. Joe Flacco, as he was getting pressured by TJ Watt, he throws a seam ball down the middle of the field to Andre Yoshivas on a 3rd and long and converts it for a first down, and they move the chains that way. That's some baller ass shit, man. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we always like seeing from Joe Burrow, but like, let's be honest, man. Like, Joe Burrow, the offense becomes too predictable at times because he's always passing the ball and they always pulling calls out of shotgun. Joe Flacco, man, you can run a lot of different comfort play calls under center, dropping back from under center, play action from under center. Also, it keeps the defense on their heels because they don't know whether if it's run or pass or not. That's why Joe Flacco, for me, is getting my game ball. And on top of it, man, his stat line was not all garbage time stat line. Man, he matched Aaron Rodgers throw for throw. And even when Aaron Rodgers threw his final touchdown against Pat Frymouth wide open, Joe Flacco answered the bell. And he honestly, if it wasn't for T. Higgins sliding and then winning the game that way, he would have thrown a touchdown to match it too. You know what I mean? So it's Flacco, man. I got to give it to the old dog, bro. He's the old dog that still got new tricks up his sleeve.
So is your game ball Joe Flacco then, Justin?
Yeah. Yeah, he said that right off
from the beginning.
Listen, I was prepared to sit here because I thought somebody's got to give it to Jamar Chase. I was prepared to make an argument for Chase Brown. I thought I should have gotten some more carries. I thought I should have got the ball a little more. But 11 carries for $108, 9.7 a carry. Like, I liked it. And listen, I also thought it was very important that Samaje Perine averaged over 4 yards a carry, 7 carries for 30-something. But it's just to keep him off balance. So when he's in, it's not just a blocking back. I think that's very important for us to do. But hey, come on, man. It's not because he was targeted 23 times. It was not because he had 16 catches. It's not because he's the best wide receiver in the game right now. It's not because he had 161 yards. It's not because he had a touchdown. Here's why I'm going to give it to Jamar Chase. He ran the same damn play 4 straight times on a end of the second quarter drive, and they couldn't stop it. He ran the same out. And the only reason why one of them was incomplete was because he bobbled it as he was falling out of bounds. He just readjusted. It was complete control. He just let it go for a split second before he got out of bounds. 4 straight times. He just said, I'm going to go right over here, and y'all ain't going to do a damn thing about it. And he did it.
Yo, did y'all see, man, this was one of my favorite moments in the game with Jamar, bro. Did y'all see that earlier in the game where he bobbled the ball like twice and then catches it and then spins out of a tackle, man?
Yep.
That was one of my favorite Jamar plays in that game. On top of him making darting down the field to block and do a wham block against for Chase Brown's longest run of the day. That was incredible too. But man,
that pass was slightly behind him. And he turned, as the ball was hitting him, he turned to look and see where they were at, and he flipped it in the air. Slay's eyes got that big. He went running after him, and he picked it up and said, nope, I'm gone.
Man, that was phenomenal, man. His athleticism is just godly, man. It's otherworldly, in my opinion. Dog, like, he is literally the best receiver in the NFL, man. And it's one of those games where if you just look at the stat line, you'll be like, oh, well, I mean, it was nice, but that's just looking at the stat line. You got to physically watch the game to truly understand Jamar Chase's value and his power. So, again, I wanted to go that direction, but I'm just like, man, you know what? I'm just going to go this route just because, and I picked also Jamar last week against the Packers, but you can't go wrong either way, man.
All right, defensive game balls. Tim, who you got? Who you giving your defensive game ball to?
I'm giving it to DJ Turner. I think we're all probably going to agree to this. DJ Turner's the only one that was out there playing real football. You know, I didn't say anything about DJ Turner during my little thingy, but I think DJ Turner is improving. He's getting better as a defender. I think he's close to putting the league on notice. I honestly believe that. He's had some unfortunate injuries since he's been with us. But I'm gonna say DJ Turner. He deserves the game ball. He's the only one that really made the difference.
All right. Do you agree with him, Justin?
Oh yeah. Back-to-back weeks, it's going DJ Turner, man. Like he's really truly coming to his own, and not just. It's about time out of all of these young draft picks that somebody actually develops like that actually is worth the damn. And that guy is DJ Turner for me. He's actually finally becoming a guy that I can actually point at as, okay, this is a guy I can build around. So I'm not going to expand upon more. I've already talked about him enough as doing my overview of the game, but yeah, for sure, man. One pick, he should have had two. But,
that pick was definitely a difference maker. I give an honorable mention to Jordan Battle, not only just for the interception, but my eye test was telling me that he was running around, flying around, and was more. So he's had a tendency to get out of position. He did that less frequently, and more so he was in the right spot. But I'll tell you who I'm going to give it to, and this is a little bit about me getting a little bit soft in my old age here, because there's been some flack given this way and whatnot. So I'm just going to say this. I know a lot of people upset Logan Wilson getting benched, this, that, and the other. Barrett Carter needs to get a little bit better about watching the cutback run. I will give you that. It's the only thing I think he needs to do a better job at is staying in that lane. Now, I think he did better than Demetrius Knight did on the cutback run. Wasn't perfectly clean with it, though. So 12 tackles, though. He's playing at a much faster speed, and I think it's an upgrade at linebacker. So I'm going to be a softy and give my defensive game ball to Barrett Carter. Congratulations, kid.
Okay.
It's a lot of tackles. But listen, I think we all excited. The Bengals pulled one out. Joe Flacco's job really here is to keep us in the conversation until we can see if our man can come back in December. You know what I mean? And what that looks like. So final thoughts, Justin, you got any final thoughts you want to give the people before we go over running through the jungle, start talking about this week?
Let's get ready for this week. We got the Jets coming in town. It's Ring of Honor night. Dan Lapham is getting, and who is it else that's getting inducted to the Ring of Honor? Lamar Parrish, I believe. But yeah, it's going to. I'm just getting ready for this week, man. We've talked a great deal about this game and how much it means, and it ain't got nothing to do with it just because it's against the Steelers. Don't let Steelers fans try to bully you into thinking that, oh, the Bengals beating the Steelers is like their Super Bowl. Nah, bro, y'all ain't like that no more, okay? This is not that. We just make fun of y'all now because y'all think y'all still big brother over us and y'all not, okay? And you can clip this and then send it to your boys over there at the Know It Alls podcast. Them still boys there too. Y'all ain't got it over us like y'all used to. So, but it was fun just to get a nice win over a division rival here at home and in our all-white unis, donning the white helmet. It was a fun environment altogether. The whole weekend was just fun, man, for Cincinnati sports altogether. But I am very proud that this team stayed resilient in the midst of all the chaos early in the season. And then they still, with Joe Flacco here, we don't know how long this match is going to last. But like we always just said, just get Joe Burrow back, and then we'll take it from there.
Tim, any final thoughts?
Hey, I'm just glad that we beat the Steelers. We don't have to listen to them yap their mouths until we play them again. So, a win's a win. Who dey?
Yeah, man. Well said. On them yapping gums, man. Jesus. Sometimes that gets real annoying. I agree, man. Who dey? At least we won. Got back on the winning track. I think I saw glimpses of hope on both sides, and we're gonna go talk about it and how it looks upcoming against the Jets. So We are going to play this outro music and go head on over to Road Through the Jungle. We'll see you right there.